The 2023 Cougar baseball season opens up at Donley Field on a picture-perfect March evening for baseball. So Grayson County Cougars take on the Fort Knox Eagles. And a good evening here and welcome to Donley Field on a beautiful evening. Well, maybe not, as it is a chilly, windy March Monday evening. It is opening day 2023 between the Grayson County Cougars and the Eagles from Fort Knox. Both of these teams looking to bounce back from identical records and losses in the district semifinals. Both teams at 7-17 last year, as the Eagles of Fort Knox picked up their first district tournament win since 2008, while the Cougars were held out of the region tournament for the second consecutive year last year as well. So both teams looking to continue to build upon some younger talent and some younger players here, as they're currently meeting right now at home plate. The coaching staffs of both teams, Jody Nutt for Grayson County in year number 2, and Joe Hammond Jr. for Fort Knox in the green jacket down there, talking with our umpire crew for today's game. It should be a good matchup here between both these teams, as both teams trying to open up the new year with a 1-0 record. As your players that you'll need to know, first off, the Eagles of Fort Knox, Sebastian Miller, the senior, hit last year .364 average with 16 runs batted in and 5 doubles, 6 triples as well. And then Joseph Smith hit .478 last season with 15 runs batted in, 2 doubles, 2 triples, and also 22 steals, while also leading the team with 6 hit by pitches. For Grayson County on the other side, Jaron Van Meter, a .408 average. For Grayson County, led the team in that category, but it was the young star on the mound, Gage Napier, that really came around as that season came along. The stats, an ERA just under 6, that might not necessarily be the number that he wants to be, but considering he was an 8th grader, he came in and he threw the ball really, really well in a couple of really big games for Grayson County last season. As those are the players that you'll need to know on both of these teams as we get up, as this is the opening game of the 2023 regular season, a cold and chilly Monday evening. And I think because of that, that has held most of the fans out here, as those that have made the trip here to Donley Field are all wrapped up in blankets and so on to make sure that there is enough room for everybody to stay warm here in this game. As we're about to announce the starting lineups here at Donley Field, and they'll have the national anthem as they're continuing to talk right now. It's talk with both coaches and make sure they get all the affairs in order and talking with the team, as the conversation still goes along there. But Grayson County last year, lost to Edmonson County in that district semifinals for the second straight year. They're looking to try and get that monkey off the bat. And the biggest thing with the district this year is that they host it this coming year here at Donley Field, as they'll host that here coming up in it's crazy to say, in just a little over 2 months that we'll be already at the district tournament time. But there's a whole lot of baseball to play until then. We'll take a break, so they're getting ready to do the national anthem, and we'll get you ready for Grayson County and Fort Knox after this, as this is Cougar Baseball on K105. Welcome back here to Donley Field, Grayson County, and Fort Knox about ready to open up the 2023 season. Let's meet the starting lineups. Fort Knox leading off and playing shortstop is Isaiah Morrison. Batting second at second base is Jaden Harris. The three-hole hitter will be the center fielder Joe Smith. The cleanup hitter will be the pitcher Sebastian Miller. Batting fifth and catching is Jacob Vaughn. The six-hole hitter will be the left fielder Josh Hernandez. Batting seventh at first base is James Moraski. Batting eighth at third base is Javier Rodriguez. And batting ninth, the designated hitter is Matt Vernon. Zach Jano will be the right fielder in his place. Once more, that lineup for Fort Knox. Morrison at short, Harrison at second, Smith at center, Miller as the starting pitcher, Vaughn in center, Hernandez in left, and the bottom third of Moraski, Rodriguez, and Jano. Now the starting lineup for the Grayson County Cougars, who are looking to open up the year 1-0. Jaron Van Meter will lead off. He will be the designated hitter, and in his place in the field will be the starting pitcher, Gage Napier. Batting second will be the center fielder, Camden Brothers. The right fielder will be Landon Shirella. He'll bat third. The cleanup hitter will be the shortstop, Eli Watson. Batting fifth at third base is Levi Rogers. The six-hole hitter will be the catcher, Landon Haycraft. Batting seventh in left field is Andrew Butler. The eight-hole hitter will be the first baseman, Sawyer Drake. And batting ninth at second base is Hunter Felty. Once more, that lineup for Grayson. Van Meter is the designated hitter. Brothers at center. Shirella in right. Watson at short. Rogers at third. Haycraft catching. Butler in left. Drake at first. Felty is the second baseman. And again, Gage Napier on the mound for Grayson County. As it's time for baseball in Litchfield, the opening game of the 2023 regular season between the Grayson County Cougars and the Eagles of Fort Knox. Gage Napier, the starting pitcher for Grayson County. The freshman comes in to deliver the first pitch of the 2023 season, and it is outside for ball one, and that is how the year gets underway this year on a chilly evening. 34 degrees is the official first pitch temperature, and there's a called strike on the outside corner as Isaiah Morrison is the batter for Fort Knox. Morrison last season, .393 average with 8 runs batted in and 3 doubles. Napier delivers the 1-1, and it's fouled off into the on-deck circle down that first base line, and the count will move to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Napier, the starting pitcher for Grayson County, 12 games, 3 starts last year with a 2-3 record. Had an ERA just below 6 with 34 strikeouts, only 14 walks. Napier will throw strikes. The 1-2. Outside, and Morrison will not chase that one as Napier ran that pitch out into the outside batter's box. As your lineup in the field for Grayson County, Butler in left, Brothers in center, Shirella in right, and around the horn, Rogers at third, Watson, Felty, Drake. Swing and a miss, pitch high, foul tip into the glove, and there's the first batter out of the year, a foul tip strikeout for Gage Napier to open up the year. Jaden Harris will now hit for Fort Knox. As Harris on the season last year, .156 average with 5 runs batted in, 1 double and a pair of triples. Speed in the 2-hole for Fort Knox. There's a pitch called strike on the inside corner, and Napier is ahead in the count here at no balls and 1 strike. Last season, Fort Knox 7-17. They picked up their first district tournament win since 2008 with a 9-7 win against John Hardin. There's a called strike, really nice pitch in there from Gage Napier. And he's ahead in the count here at no balls and 2 strikes. Working quick is Napier. He doesn't need a pitch clock. The 0-2. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Called strike at the knees, and Gage Napier has faced 2 hitters, and he struck them both out. Joseph Smith will now hit for Fort Knox. Smith last year, .478 average, 15 runs batted in, a pair of doubles, and a pair of triples. He can really hit. And that first pitch is outside for ball 1. Napier last year got the start as an 8th grader in the district semifinals game against Edmonson County, and it wasn't necessarily his best performance, but he had many games, including one against Butler County. That pitch goes high. He's fallen behind in the count here at 2 balls and no strikes, where it did not start great as he had the bases loaded with nobody outs in the top of the first inning in that game, and then proceeded to get 3 straight outs and get out of that inning without any damage and pick up the win in that game. There's a called strike on the 2-0. He's trying to fight back against the Fort Knox Eagles' best hitter. Here comes the 2-1 from Napier. Called strike outside, and He's come back to even up the count here. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs here in this top of the first inning on a chilly Monday evening of opening day 2023 for the Cougars. The break even from Napier is low, and that will make the count go full here at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Landon Haycraft is the catcher for Grayson County. He doesn't have much experience catching. He's trying to fill that void left by a couple of good catchers for Grayson, and that one just, was it foul tip? No, it wasn't. It was swung and missed, throwing down to first, and he is safe. As the ball goes into right field, and there's a dropped third strike. That's going to go in, and getting in there is Smith. And I thought that ball was potentially foul tipped, but I guess it was not, and he's safe on the pitch. So that'll put a runner on first base now for the 4-hole hitter, the pitcher, Sebastian Miller. There's pickoff attempt, and there safe is Smith. Miller last year, .364 average with 16 runs batted in, 5 doubles, 6 triples. A tall, lengthy player out there for Fort Knox. Will the Eagles get aggressive on the base pass, trying to get an early 2-out rally going? Outside, the ball goes off the glove of Haycraft, and that'll be an easy pass ball advancing on the outside pitch. And this is just one of these situations where he's got to and that pitch is high for ball 2, and the count will go to 2 balls and no strikes, I believe is the count here. As Napier's just got to take a deep breath and make sure that he can just focus on getting the batter out. That runner on second doesn't matter as much. Big leadoff, though, down there at second. Pitch is high off the glove of Haycraft again, and that's going to be a pass ball that's going to advance the runner to third. Gage Napier coming down, and I like that there from Gage Napier. He walked down and he kind of tapped on the back. Wanted to say, hey, you're good. No. I'm going to get. You got a 3 count here with one of Fort Knox's best hitters. What happens here from Sebastian Miller? He does a little check swing blooper into first, and it's into the middle of nowhere. Napier will make the tag, though, to get the runner out at first. What a play by Gage Napier. It was his only play, and he was able to tag Miller out. No runs scored through the top half of the first inning, and we headed to the bottom of 1. It is Fort Knox 0, and the Cougs are coming up. This is Cougar Baseball right here on K105. Welcome back here to Donley Field, Grayson County and Fort Knox. Here as we head to the bottom half of the first inning, Gage Napier worked out a little bit of a 2-out two-out trouble there, and is now heading over to the Grayson County Bats as they're looking to get the offense going. It'll be Jaron Van Meter to lead off for the Cougars, looking against Sebastian Miller. 8 games, 4 starts last year with a record of 1-2, and ERA over 10 with 30 strikeouts last year for the Eagles of Fort Knox High School. And the catcher here is Vaughn behind the plate, Rodriguez at third, Morrison at short, Harris at second, Moraski at first, Hernandez in the left field, Smith in center, and Jono in right field. As your home plate umpire for today's game is Nathan Morris. And looks like Sebastian Miller has finished up his routine, and he looks like he's about ready to go as the throw down there from the catcher, and we are ready to roll here in the bottom half of the first inning. No score between Grayson County and Fort Knox. And it'll be Jaron Van Meter to lead off. Last season, Van Meter, .408 average with 9 runs batted in, 1 home run, 18 walks, and stole 22 of 23 stolen bases. He hit a home run in the district semifinal game against Edmonson County out to right field. So technically, he's homered in 1 straight game. That pitch is low for Jaron Van Meter, and he's ahead in the count here, 1 ball and no strikes. If he can rip one here to right field, I think that Jody Nutt will have to buy him a hot dog after the game because it's cold, and this park already is not one that you see many homers. The 1-0 coming from Miller to Jaron Van Meter is a cold strike at the knees. The one thing that I know we kind of joke about over the years that Van Meter does have to his advantage is that he's got one of the smaller strike zones. He's one of the smaller players on the team. Because of that, your strike zone is smaller compared to who's standing on deck, Camden Brothers. Check swing, cold strike, and it'll make the count here to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Or even for the pitcher, Sebastian Miller, who is listed on the roster at 6 feet tall. And I would assume he's probably 6'3", 6'4", at least looking at that. It might just be the mound as well. Inside, and it did hit him. I was wondering if it did or not. Van Meter kind of looked at the umpire to see, hey, did it hit me or not, instead of just trotting down to first. And Jaron Van Meter's looking like the Cougar legend Bradley Napier there, getting a hit by pitch to start off. And I know that the ongoing legend is that Bradley Napier leads the state in career hit by pitches in the head. At least that's a claim record. I'm not sure. He's standing in our press box this evening. Do you agree that you hold that record?
It's up there.
It's up there, he says. He has at least 2.
Top 3.
2 getting hit in the head. And the wildest part about it is that there are pictures of both of them with the ball making contact with his head. Here comes the pitch to Camden Brothers. It's inside, and that one hit him. That one just brushed Camden Brothers, and that's one thing about hit by pitches. I guess if you want to get hit by a pitch, you want to get hit like Camden Brothers did, where that one just kind of brushes the shoulder. Because if you wear one off the back today, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt regardless, but with it being around freezing temperatures, it's going to be really, really cold. That's going to make it hurt even more. The runner's on first and second now with nobody out. And the lineup will go towards the 3-hole hitter, Landon Shirella. Shirella last year hit .333, 8 runs batted in, 18 walks, 5 doubles. He got the Barry Bonds treatment a lot of getting walked. His big leadoff down at second for Van Meter, and swing and fouled behind the plate there from Shirella. That's smart hitting there by Landon Shirella. Is when a pitcher has come back and hit back-to-back batters on consecutive pitches, you're going to get a piece of cheese to start off, and that's exactly what he was looking for. And it was right down the middle, and Shirella just couldn't turn on it quick enough. The 0-1. That's ripped into right field. It's hit back straight away right. The right fielder, Jono's got it. Van Meter will tag up to third, and runners on first and third with 1 down here in the bottom half of the first inning. That's one of those that if this was in about 2 months, that ball probably would have traveled about 15 or 20 feet further, but the fact is that it is, around freezing. That ball's just going to die up there at Donley Field today. You got runners on the corners for Eli Watson. Watson last season for the Cougars, a .224 average with 12 runs batted in, 2 doubles, 2 triples, and also a home run. He hit one of the 2 Cougar homers last season. Often running his brothers, the pitch is low, fake on the throw, and brothers will get the base there down to second. You got runners now, 2 of them in scoring position as the Cougars going to try and help out their freshman starting pitcher, Gage Napier. The 1-0 is a cold strike on the outside corner. Good pitch there from Miller. And now Watson's in the at-bat. Standing on deck for Grayson County is Levi Rogers, the third baseman. The 1-1. Fouled off down that third base line and out of play. So it'll go to 1-2 here with 1 out in this bottom of the first inning. No score between Grayson County and Fort Knox. One ball and 2 strikes. The pitch is a ground ball to the shortstop, Morrison. He'll throw on to first and get Watson by half a step, but a runner will score and Grayson County leads 1-0. Brothers advances to third. The fielder's choice works great. I mean, it gets a run in, and in all seriousness, that's all that you really need. And the Cougs lead 1-0, and they strike first here in this game. Levi Rogers has the runner 90 feet away. He'll try to put one more run in. It's 1-0 Grayson. Miller's pitch is a ground ball right back up the middle. Morrison, the shortstop, goes down to his knee, throws on to first, and that's the final out of the inning. Grayson County, though, does get 1 run in. And through 1 full, it's the Cougars 1 and Fort Knox 0. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. Welcome back here to Donley Field. Grayson County on top 1-0 as we start the top half of the second inning of work. It'll be Jacob Vaughn to lead off for Fort Knox. And the first pitch coming from Gage Napier is a line drive into left field. Butler has it read, but no, it's off his glove. And that'll be down for a hit there. And Fort Knox has a runner on base here to lead off in the second inning. Butler just misread that ball out in left field, and it makes it even harder to... I was curious there. The coach was running out for Fort Knox, and he was just getting the bat. So I was curious. I thought he was arguing something at first, and I was kind of confused as to why you would be arguing after you have a runner on first to start off the inning. It'll be Joshua Hernandez, the left fielder, now to hit. Hernandez didn't have any plate appearances last year for the freshman. Fort Knox jerseys, wearing the green jerseys with the They kind of look like the Seattle Supersonics out there. There's a cold strike in, that kind of style. If the Supersonics had baseball jerseys, it would kind of look like that as to what Fort Knox is. And the pants, a very distinctive green stripe up each side of the pant leg. Swing and a miss, and ahead in the count here at no balls and 2 strikes. Runner down at first base is Vaughn, the catcher, after he led off. The pitch coming. Low. Just misses there from Gage Napier. One of the first games here in the state to open up this new year. There were many games canceled across the area due to, I saw wet fields, and also it's cold. And, we can joke about that, but there is also some of it. I know that some specific bats can't be out in too cold of weather because they'll break. And with it being aluminum bats, if they were playing wood bats, it wouldn't matter as much. But they are playing the metal bats out there. As the 1-2 coming from Napier, called strike 3. On the outside corner, Napier has his 3rd strikeout of the game. And James Moraski, the first baseman, will now come in. Last year, only 13 plate appearances for the left-handed hitter. Vaughn down at first base. Napier will check him. The freshman delivers the pitch, and a swing and a miss, and Napier ahead in the count here at no balls and 1 strike. Napier only thrown 24 pitches so far here in the second inning, 62% for a strike. It's one of the things that you saw last year is, even as an 8th grader, he's going to throw strikes. Swing and a miss there, and he's ahead in the count here, no balls and 2 strikes. And that's the biggest thing, especially at this level, is just get the ball over the plate sometimes. Is just throw strikes and if anything, trust your defense to make plays. You're not going to see many teams, especially on days like today. Called strike. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Moraski goes down on strikes. You're not going to see many teams out there that are going to hit home runs, or gappers, especially on a day like today where you have to crush one to get it out of this ballpark with how cold and windy it is. The first pitch to Javier Rodriguez is a ball high. Rodriguez last year hit 129 with a pair of doubles. Napier trying to work out of a leadoff runner reaching base. That pitch is outside for ball 2. Checking the runner at first. The 2-0 from Napier, outside ball 3. Grayson County leads this game 1-0. After fielder's choice, ground out, plated a runner in the first. The 3-0. Called strike, and you could tell Javier Rodriguez, he wasn't swinging if that pitch was on a tee. He was going to make sure that one went through, and that's always kind of one of the baseball. Do you swing at the 3-0? Do you not? It's always interesting reading the statistics, especially for certain players. There's a cold strike at the knees. I know that there are some players. I know that like Joey Votto, for the Reds, had the statistic where I think on a 3-0 count, at one point in his career, he was hitting like 450 on pitches just because he realized you're probably going to throw me some cheese, and I'm going to swing at it. The 3-2 pitch, high and inside, and that'll be a walk to Rodriguez, and Matthew Vernon, the DH, will now hit. Vernon did not have any plate appearances last season. And are we going to have a courtesy runner? It appears so. And the courtesy runner out there is going to be number 8, Josh Carlson, the senior, in for the catcher, Vaughn. And at first, Carlson ran out there with just his hat on, and Coach Joe Hammond had to say, wait, you gotta have a helmet. Gotta put that on there. You never know when you're out in the field. Nobody's safe. First pitch, called strike. That one fooled Vernon, the hitter. You could tell he thought that one was a little bit more inside, and he kind of backed out of the way. Vernon spins the bat on his left shoulder. Swing and a miss. Napier ahead in the count here at no balls and 2 strikes. Napier checks the runner. Carlson at second. The pitch inside gets past Haycraft. The runner doesn't break down at second in Carlson, and because of that, Grayson's going to get a break. That could have been 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs, and Carlson didn't break immediately. And at the last second, he thought about it, but if he would have, it would have been an easy put out. Because this is one of those that if that ball goes, you have to make that decision right then. The 1-2, it's not going to matter. Cold strike 3. Napier gets out of the jam. No runs on no hits and an error, and we're in the bottom of the second inning. It is Grayson County leading Fort Knox 1-0. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. Grayson County and Fort Knox, 1-0. It's Grayson County with the lead. Here as we get to the bottom of the second inning, it'll be 6, 7, 8 in the order for Grayson. Starting off with Landon Haycraft, the catcher. It'll be Sebastian Miller out there for his second inning of work. As it'll be Haycraft last season for Grayson County. Didn't get a lot of opportunities, but when he got the chance to hit, especially later in the season, hit .324 with 9 runs batted in with 2 doubles. And the first pitch coming is inside over the head of Haycraft, and that would have been one that if he'd have stood there, he'd have worn that one off the side of his helmet. Again, like we always joke, it's easy for us to say, wear it, when we're sitting up here in the press box and it's not outside in 32-degree weather. The pitch is high and outside, and 2 balls and no strikes. Haycraft is ahead in the count from Sebastian Miller. Miller has that size advantage out there on the mound, and that does make things a little bit more challenging in reading the ball out because it comes from a much higher angle than probably Haycraft is used to. There's a cold strike at the knees, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. The 1-0 Grayson County lead here in this second inning of work. Miller looks in for the sign. Here comes the pitch. Low and inside, and Haycraft ahead in the count here, 3 balls and 1 strike. He looks down at the second-year head coach, Jody Nutt, who's coaching third base, and gets the sign, looks down at the wrist and stepping out of the box, and the catcher, Vaughn, I don't know if he tweaked his back a little bit, but he stood up and he was kind of stretching his back out. And with it being so cold, your muscles tighten up so much. The 3-1. Outside, no. A leadoff walk for Grayson County from Landon Haycraft, and it'll be Andrew Butler. Now to hit for the Cougars. Butler, the senior, last year hit .143 with 3 runs batted in. And this is your interesting decision. You've got speed down there at first base. Is Jody Nutt going to try and drop down a bunt? You've got the analytics here of what you might want to do and so on. As you do have a courtesy, it's not a courtesy runner. I thought we saw someone else trot out there down at first. I don't think you're going to take some catchers you will do a courtesy runner, but I don't think you're going to courtesy run for Landon Haycraft very often. He's got plus speed. They're showing bunt. Butler gets it away, but it is fouled off and almost smacked off the top of the net. Back and trotting over to go and grab that one in the on-deck circle was Sawyer Drake. Let's see if they'll keep the bunt on. The one pro that Butler has is that the infield is not necessarily in the greatest shape, and that's not the fault of Jody Nutt and the Grayson County coaching staff. It's just that it is the middle of March, and we really haven't had that many warm days. Because of that, though, pickoff move in safely. The ball gets away, and Haycraft, again, he was laying there for a little bit and then thought, do I get up and run? And by that point, no. If you haven't made the decision immediately, you just got to stay, and luckily he did. But when that ball's now going to roll through on that infield, it's going to take some weird hops. And you never know if that bunt, sometimes that can come back and bite you. Sometimes it can really help you out. Bunting, though, is one of the hardest things that you can do, especially with Miller, who's not necessarily, he's got a little speed out there on the mound. Showing down the bunt, it rolls right in front of the plate, and they're going to get the easy out down at first. The catcher, Vaughn, will throw down to first, and that works. It's a sacrifice bunt. It's not necessarily the prettiest bunt in the world, but Vaughn was more than happy with just getting the easy out down there at first base, and that's one out here in the bottom of the second inning. 1-0. Grayson and Sawyer Drake will come in to hit. Go 2-3 on the putout. Haycraft advances to second. Drake was 2 for 9 last year with 2 runs batted in. He played a lot down there at first base, but he was usually the designated player. First pitch to him is outside for ball 1. Of course, Sawyer Drake had one of the highlights of the Grayson County season last year where he found himself on SportsCenter with a top 10 play, a diving catch that he almost took out his starting pitcher tonight, Gage Napier. That ball is a wild pitch. Haycraft will easily advance on to third. He takes a hard turnaround third, thought about rounding and coming home. But the 2-0 count is going to have a runner 90 feet away. As Miller comes down to talk to his catcher, Vaughn. It's 2 seniors talking it over, and Vaughn now fixing his pads down there on his cleats. And I thought he was going back to his back there, as he was grabbing his back earlier in the at-bat. And of all positions other than maybe the pitcher, the back is something you really need as a catcher. Inside, and Sawyer Drake, speaking of backs, wears one in it. And that's not going to feel good on a night where it is about 32 degrees. And there'll be one down here in the inning. And runners on the corners for Hunter Felty, the starting quarterback of the Grayson County football team, coming in for his first career at-bat here on the varsity circuit. Felty had a good season for the football team. Almost was just shy of being a 1,000-yard passer. Just shy of being a 1,000-yard passer, and it's kind of stunk because he got hurt in that final game of the year, and I'm sure that he'd have gotten to that 1,000-yard mark. Off and running is Sawyer Drake, and he's going to get the steal down there at first. I'm not sure, and that's not anything against Sawyer, but I'm not sure that Sawyer Drake having one of the first stolen bases of the year for Grayson County was going to be on my bingo card. But he's going to take it. And now you got runners on second and third. With one down here in the bottom of the second inning, Grayson trying to add to their 1-0 lead. That ball gets away. Coming home is Haycraft. He'll score easily on the pass ball. Cougs lead 2-0. That time, Haycraft did not hesitate a second. He saw that ball go off the glove of the catcher, Vaughn. Advances easily. Grayson leads 2-0. And that's just great base running there by Haycraft. He had the hesitation last time, and especially on plays at home, if you hesitate a second, they are going to get you out. Luckily, he didn't that time. Felty stands in the batter's box. The 2-0 coming from Miller. Outside, and he's ahead 3 balls and no strikes. Jaron Van Meter stands in the on-deck circle as the leadoff hitter. He was hit by a pitch in his first at-bat. The 3-0 for Felty is a cold strike on that outside corner. You could tell that Felty wasn't swinging on the 3-0. He was going to let that one go by. So Grayson County leads this game 2-0. Here comes the 3-1. It's ripped to the shortstop, Morrison. He'll catch it on the line. Throw back to third, and he is out. They pick him off down there at third. Drake was caught napping, and that is a double play, 6-5 to end the inning. Grayson County gets one, though, and we're through two. It is the Cougars leading 2-0. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. Welcome back here to Donley Field on a picture-perfect opening day evening here as the sun is beginning to set here on this first day of the season. I think everyone's out there in their short sleeves and swim trunks and goggles thinking of the beach. Maybe somewhere, not here, because it is very cold here on this first game of the season. I mean, you look down in that Fort Knox dugout, and I could say the same thing about the Grayson County dugout. Somebody in that Fort Knox dugout, though, deserves a lot of credit because I don't know if that's an assistant coach or a player, came prepared. They have like a blanket, but it almost looks like it's a Snuggie that they brought down there in that third base dugout. And I give them a lot of props. This lineup flips over here in this third inning of work. Grayson leads 2-0, and the first pitch from Gage Napier is a swing and a miss to Isaiah Morrison. Morrison, in his first at-bat, struck out on that foul tip on the first at-bat of this season. Pitch low, gets past Haycraft, but luckily no one on to have any damage. It's 1-1 here in this top of the third inning. Here from Grayson County High School in Donley Field. Fort Knox still searching for their first hit of the game. Pitch outside, bounces off of the glove of Haycraft, and it'll go to 2 balls and 1 strike. Line in the pitch is a slow ground ball to the third baseman, Rogers. He picks it on the low hop, throws over, and it's a low bounce, and that is going to be a runner on first with nobody out here in this inning. That was going to be a tough pick there for Sawyer Drake, even more so because that infield is not perfect grass. Makes it even harder. That's one that Levi Rogers has just got to find a way to get a better throw there to Drake. And that's going to be an E5 on the first play here in this top of the third inning. It's one of those that probably, if you ask Sawyer Drake, he probably thinks he probably should have picked, but it's just got to be a little bit better of a throw, as that one was a really tough play for Drake to be able to make. And those picks, it's why first base is one of the hardest positions to play on the field. I mean, next to catcher, it's probably the next hardest. And they're going to show bunt, and it's a cold strike right down Broadway. Backside throwing to first in safely. They tried to catch Morrison sleeping. As Jaden Harris is the hitter, he also struck out in his first at-bat. He struck out looking, though, on 3 pitches from Napier. See if they'll keep the bunt on. They will not. Swing and a miss. It's always the interesting thing when it comes to the bunt is some people very pro bunt, some people like myself are not necessarily the biggest fan of the bunt. Often running fly ball, foul ball behind us, and that one could wear a car. As luckily I was smart enough to park my car all the way down, pretty much as far away as I could potentially park it, which later on I'm probably going to be cursing myself, but it's a lot better than having to wear one off my windshield and having to go visit the auto repair shop tomorrow morning. The 0-2 coming here in the top of the third. Swing and a miss. Napier gets his strikeout, and that's the first out here in this third inning. As for Gage Napier, that is his 7th strikeout of the game. All of his outs in this game have been via the strikeout. Well, I guess because he's technically gotten an extra out. There's a pickoff attempt in, as because he got a run around on a drop third strike. So 7 strikeouts in the quote-unquote 8 outs that Grayson County's gotten in the game. As in to hit is Joseph Smith, the center fielder. Smith was that player that reached on that drop third strike. First pitch to him is inside for ball 1. You could tell Smith was not one to wear that one so much, as it was inside, but he was clearly bending out. And I think if you're seeing that from Gage Napier, you want to go right back in on the hands here. He did not want any part of that inside pitch. Swing and a miss, off and running. Haycraft doesn't get the ball out of his glove in time, and that'll be a stolen base. But it will be a strike as well. 1 ball and 1 strike. Morrison, though, gets the steal. And there's a runner in scoring position here for Fort Knox, looking to come back here as they trail 2-0. The line of the pitch outside for ball 2, and Gage Napier here approaching the 50 pitch mark of this game. He's right now at 47 pitches, and it'll be interesting to see what his leash is in this game. Pitch outside. With it, 1 being cold, 2 being the first game of the season, how long would Jody not let Gage Napier go? And also, Gage is a freshman. You do not want to, he's your ace. You don't want to do in a game that, I mean, it's the same thing for Fort Knox. It means nothing. Pitch ripped down the left field line. It is a foul ball. Foul ball. That one was really close to being major damage, as Joseph Smith really got a hold of that one. The count will go full now, 3-2. Smith looks down into the dugout to get the signs. The runner Morrison stands at second. The 50th pitch of the game for Gage Napier is outside, and that's a walk, and you got runners now on first and second for the pitcher, Sebastian Miller, the 4-hole hitter, trying to help himself out here in this game. And that will turn into a visit here from the Grayson County coaching staff, and everybody from the infield is going to come in to talk this one over and kind of discuss what do you do here. And it's probably also just, let's just take a second, take a deep breath. I mean, he's probably telling Gage, hey, you've thrown the ball well. You've got 7 strikeouts. Just take a deep breath. You got this. I mean, Fort Knox has made contact once in this game that has been good. And that was the rip that was just foul down the left field line. Napier's going to step off the mound, and he's just going to walk back towards Morrison, who is down there at second, as just to kind of say, hey, what you doing, bud? You thinking about running? And Morrison said, no, I'm just going to go back here to second. Pitch, swing and a miss. He gets that one past Miller. He took something off of that, and Miller was fooled. It's a big opportunity here for Sebastian Miller as well, as he's really going to try and he's going to help himself. I mean, if he hits this one out into the outfield, he could potentially tie this game up. Swing and a miss. That pitch was at his eyes, and you could tell he was thinking exactly what I was just saying, and he got the opportunity to tie this game up, and because of that, he's now in a hole at 0 balls and 2 strikes with 1 down, and Grayson leads 2-0. The pitch, just misses on the outside corner. Pitch was about 2 inches further away than what the umpire Nathan Morris has been calling consistently in this game. The 1-2. High, bounces out of the glove of Haycraft, and runners are going to stay. That'll even up the count here, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Napier just takes an extra step off the mound just to collect himself. So you got 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 down here in the top of the 3rd inning. 2-0 Grayson County. Napier delivers the break even. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Miller. Napier ran that pitch out into the outside batter's box. Miller tried to extend upon it, and he goes down on strikes. And with 2 down here in the top of the 3rd inning, it'll now be Jacob Vaughn, the catcher. Vaughn, in his first at-bat, reached on an error. Napier delivers the pitch. It's popped off left side, out of play. Haycraft watched that one go towards the parking lot as well, and that one was eerily close to the Fort Knox bus that's parked really in a very dangerous spot. But the bus driver, I think he's got the smart play. He is sitting, he's got the best seat in the house because he's sitting in that bus, and that bus, you better believe, is turned on. He's probably got the heat cranked. That one's fouled off into the batter's box and ahead in the count here at 0 balls and 2 strikes. And I'm sure he's enjoying himself. And I think I saw once or twice a Fort Knox parent walk onto that bus and if to say, hey, can I join you? The 0-2 pitch. Ground ball into the left field for Andrew Butler. He gets it up and he bobbles it. That's going to score a run. Rounding second and going to third. The throw by Butler. He is out. Butler recovers and gets the runner. Great job by Levi Rogers to put the tag, but Fort Knox does get 1 run. We head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's Grayson 2, Fort Knox 1. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. Welcome back to Don Lee Field. We head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Grayson County on top of Fort Knox, 2-1. Here is It'll be at the top of the order. Jaron Van Meter, 1, 2, 3, will lead off. Van Meter, Brothers, and Shirella. The Cougars looking to get a run back that they lost there in that top of the first inning after the error out in the field. Gage Napier's thrown the ball really well for Grayson County in this game already, and it's probably part of that is Gage isn't hitting. He's probably going into that dugout and saying, come on, guys, let's get some runs. Let's make this job a little bit easier for us here and also speed this game up because I'm sure he's probably saying, hey, it's cold out there on the mound. As we'll look down here, I think it, 34 degrees still. So we've stuck with the same temperature as it was at the first pitch, and the first pitch of this inning going to Jaron Van Meter is outside for ball 1. Van Meter in his first at-bat was hit by a pitch, and one that just kind of skirted by him, and he kind of looked at the umpire, Nathan Morris, and said, did that hit me? And Morris said, yeah, it did. Van Meter takes a swing at that one and fouls it off behind the plate. Make the count go to 1 ball and 1 strike. Grayson on top 2-1 here in this game. Both teams finished with identical records last year at 7-17. For Grayson County, it was their fewest wins since 2002. Trying to make sure that does not happen in consecutive years. And the biggest thing for Grayson, as the 1-1 coming here to Van Meter, is inside and he wears another one. He's going to get first base. And it works the same. Is it still going to go down as a walk hit or hit by pitch? It all counts the same in the end. And Van Meter reaches base there at first, and it'll be Camden Brothers, who also was hit by a pitch in his last at-bat. Brothers is the tall, lengthy center fielder. But going back to the point is Grayson County has not played in the regional tournament since 2019. Now, you can kind of put an asterisk by that because obviously there was no tournament in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that pitch is outside for ball 1 as the catcher Vaughn faked down to first as if to say, Jaron Van Meter is kind of one of those to say, hey, I know you're there. Van Meter does have plus speed down there at first. But Grayson's looking to end that streak, as this is a program that, regional tournament appearances. His Brothers turns on one, hits a deep left center field. Smith, the center fielder, goes back and makes the catch. No, it was dropped. It was dropped. At the last second, it did drop in, and that will just be runners on first and second, as that was a really long run for Smith to make a play on that. And honestly, because it was such a long run, I think that one goes down as a hit. Because it was, Brothers put a charge into that one, and that's another example of if this was 40 degrees warmer, which again is crazy for us to say in baseball. If it were 40 degrees warmer, usually you would say, well, it'd be like 110. No, it would only be in the mid-70s. But that ball is off the wall and hits off the 350 sign. And if it's 90, that one might have had a shot of even crossing the fence. As Landon Shirella will foul that ball off as Shirella flew out to right field in his last at bat. So we'll go down as a single for Brothers. Van Meter had to stay at second though because he had to wait at first to make sure that ball was not caught by Smith. Here comes the 2-1, or the 2-1 Grayson County lead here is a check swing, and no, it wasn't fouled off. Both of the runners will advance. And it will go down. I think he did say it was a swing and a miss. I think it was a little check swing. They did say he went. And both of the runners advance, though, on the pass ball for Van Meter and Brothers. Now you got 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out here in the third. Grayson looking to add to their 2-1 lead. The pitch is ripped into shallow center field. It's going to drop in plate 2. 1 run scores. Here comes in the second, and Grayson leads 4-1 on the 2-run single by Landon Shirella. Did exactly what he needed to do, put the ball in play, and sent it right back up the middle, and the Cougs lead 4-1. Now the 4-hole hitter will be Eli Watson. It's exactly what Grayson should have done there, and great job of hitting by Shirella to put the ball right back where it was pitched. Fouled off by Watson behind the plate. And that one goes right back behind our vantage point here at Don Lee Field from. We have the best seat in the house today. Well, maybe next to the bus driver, because the bus driver does have heat. We do not have heat in our press box. Our little heater, it was struggling earlier, so we decided that instead of burning the press box down, we were just going to keep it nice. And, it is much better out here. There's a pickoff attempt. It gets past the first baseman, and advancing is going to be Shirella. He'll easily get second. So that throw was low, and because of that, Shirella is going to advance to second. It'll be 4-1 Grayson. They still lead this game as Shirella moves into scoring position here in this bottom half of the third. The wind and the pitch coming from Miller is inside, cold strike. It was one of those that went from almost hitting Watson to end up getting into the inside corner. Here comes the 0-2. Stepping off the mound is Miller, and he's going to make Shirella trot back there to second base. Watson, the long look in at the pitcher Miller. He didn't even leave the batter's box. And that one is a foul ball, as it was not, as they're actually going to say that's a drop third strike. And advancing to third is Shirella, but I think that ball was fouled. So it was not fouled, actually. I thought it was a foul tip. It was not. So it is a drop third strike swinging. But advancing on the play is Shirella down to third base, and that puts a runner 90 feet away. Smart base running there by Shirella to get even closer on the last play. It'll be the left-handed hitting Levi Rogers in. And first pitch is called strike at the knees here as Grayson has the 4-1 lead. The 0-1 coming from Miller is a cold strike, another one low. And Rogers now is going to have to take the bat off the shoulder here with no balls and 2 strikes, 1 down, because the fly ball makes it 5-1. Pitch outside. That one you could tell kind of slipped out of the hand of Sebastian Miller. We'll have to do it one more time, as that one will be a ball outside. The pitch, just enough of it as it's going to roll down the first base line, throwing down to first. Rogers is out. Backside, Shirella will score, though. Smart play there by Shirella. He waited until the ball was thrown, and he's going to score to make it 5-1 Grayson County. Rogers, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world there. It's exactly what he should have done. He put the ball in play and gets the run in and makes it 5-1 Grayson. And in the end, a run is all that matters. Two down here in the inning. 5-1, Grayson leads. It'll be Landon Haycraft now to hit for the Cougs. And the first pitch to him is a cold strike at the knees. Pitch, and that hit him. Another hit by pitch for Grayson. Landon Haycraft will wear that one. It'll be Andrew Butler now that will get the chance to hit. He had that little sacrifice last time. We have a timeout called, and maybe we'll have a pitching change. For Miller, that's only the 44th pitch that he's thrown. They're going to bring everybody in, and they're going to talk this one over. And probably this is more of a, hey, let's take a deep breath, we're okay conversation from the Fort Knox coaching staff. It's 5-1 Grayson here in the second, in the bottom of the third inning, 2 down. Landon Shirella had the big hit to plate 2 on the hit right back up the middle. Long conversation, and here comes Nathan Morris, the umpire, to trot himself out there. He's going to say, okay, guys, let's break this one up. Andrew Butler went down to talk with Jody Nutt, and Butler last time, he had a bunt, and it worked. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest bunt in the world as it went maybe 6 inches, but you know what? It did the job. Sometimes it's the ones that go the furthest, and that one's thrown to the backstop. Advancing easily is Haycraft. Actually, that's not Haycraft down there, as there was a courtesy runner this time for Grayson. As down there to run for Grayson County, we'll have to see who that was. It's a number 4 who I don't have listed, at least on my roster. They like to change the roster a lot here. That's Chase Bonnock. And there is another hit by pitch for Grayson. As that hit Andrew Butler, and they're going to go out and have one more conversation. Sawyer Drake will now step in to hit. With 2 down here in the inning, Grayson's already plated 3 runs. Miller trying to just get out of this inning. A big leadoff by Bonnock down at first, and a swing and a miss by Sawyer Drake. Was not the most confident swing in the world there by Drake. Last time up, though, Sawyer Drake wore one in the back. And there's a little chopping ground ball down to the first base line, and ahead in the count here at 0 balls and 2 strikes is the pitcher Sebastian Miller. I know I've been told that Sawyer Drake had the nickname HBP when he used to play younger baseball, and maybe he's going to live up to that this year. The 0-2 to Drake is a swing and a miss. He's down on strikes. But the Cougars score 3 runs on 2 hits and an error, and we're through 3 full. It's Grayson 5, Fort Knox 1. It's Cougar Baseball on K105. Top of the 4th inning, we head. Grayson leads 5-1 against the Fort Knox Eagles. It'll be 6, 7, 8 in the order. Gage Napier out for another inning of work for Grayson. And the first pitch to Joshua Hernandez is a swing and a miss. Hernandez in his first at-bat struck out looking from Gage Napier, who has 3 innings. He's given up 1 hit, 1 run, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. First pitch is also a strike. Quickly ahead in the count here at 0 balls and 2 strikes. Napier is not wasting any time. The 0-2 pops straight up in the infield. Going back is the second baseman, Felty. He calls it off, and he grabs that one easily. Those are sometimes the hardest plays to make for the infielders as he's going back, trying to read it in the kind of overcast sky. That ball can kind of just blend right into that gray sky. It's kind of that same color, and Felty does a nice job grabbing that one. Now in to hit is the lefty, James Moreski, and he chops that one off into the dugout. And luckily, they were ready. I thought that one was going to wear in the on-deck circle. I thought that one was going to hit Rodriguez in the on-deck circle. As in his first at-bat, Moreski struck out looking. The 0-1. Called strike on the outside corner. Good pitch there by Napier. The 0-2 from the freshman Napier is a swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Gage Napier. That's 9 of them now today for Napier. I remember back 2 years ago for Grayson County in the opening game of the season, Dane Hawkins mowed down. I got to find the number, but if my memory's right, I think it was 15 in the first game of the season against Greene County. Now, that was a game, and there's Javier Rodriguez outside, called strike to him. That was a game, though, that Grayson County lost. The 0-1, called strike, and Napier's just pounding the strike zone right now. 15, yep, in the season opening loss there back on the 30th of March. I think it was a little warmer that day. The 0-2, swing and a miss. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Gage Napier mowing them down through 4 as Grayson County leads 5-1. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. It's the bottom of the 4th inning we head here at Don Lee Field in the opening game of the 2023 season for the Grayson County Cougars, and they lead Fort Knox 5-1. It'll be 9-1-2 in the order. Hunter Felty to lead off for Grayson. He grounded out or lined out in a double play in his first at bat. He flies that one off, a foul ball out of play, smacking over behind the Grayson County dugout. And that's one of those that'll go down as a double play for Hunter Felty in the lineup, but that's one of those that you almost have to mark as like bad luck double play because it was a smoking line drive just right at the shortstop Morrison. Pitch inside, cold strike on the inside corner. That one just got the edge. And Sebastian Miller coming out here. It's only his 51st pitch here in this bottom of the 4th inning. He's been fairly efficient despite giving up 5 runs. Felty makes contact, and then that one flies it off over to the right side. The first baseman, Moreski, backpedals and makes the catch on the edge of the outfield. And that will be the first down of the inning. The lineup will flip over, and it'll be Jaron Van Meter to hit. And Van Meter, he's going to be a little sore tomorrow, as he is 0 for 0 in this game, and he's been hit by a pitch twice. I'm sure he's getting up there, and I'm sure that he's probably looking to swing the bat here. Yes, a hit by pitch is good. It goes down, as an on-base opportunity, as that pitch is low for Van Meter, 1-0, but it just doesn't quite feel the same as a hit. Van Meter led the team last year in average, hitting over 400. It's one of the consistent bats of this Cougar team. Cold strike at the knees. That was one that I think Van Meter would like back. The pitch coming from Sebastian Miller. Outside, that one didn't quite get enough bend on it. You can kind of see that one as it's coming out of the hand. It kind of slipped a little bit as it was leaving, and because of that, it just never got enough bend to hit the outside corner. It's 2 balls and 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Grayson County leads Fort Knox 5-1. Pitch inside. It's 3 balls and 1 strike. Grayson County has scored in every inning so far. 1 run in each of the first 2 innings, and then a 3 spot in that bottom half of the 3rd. It was Landon Shirella that had the 2 RBI single. It's been the highlight of the game so far, right over the second baseman Harris's head. 3 balls. The senior Sebastian Miller delivers the pitch. Outside, Van Meter will work a walk. And it'll now be Camden Brothers' turn to hit. He singled into center and his last at bat, and it's one of those that you almost put an asterisk by that one as well, because yes, he singled to center. When you hear that, you think, oh, was it just a slow grounder right up the middle? No, that one was crushed into left center field, and the only reason it was a single was because Jaron Van Meter had to hold up because the center fielder Smith made a great jump on the ball. He just couldn't get there in time. Cold strike, the first pitch there by Brothers. As it was a great job, as shaded over that way was Smith, and he just ran out of real estate. Big lead off by Van Meter down at first. Hard secondary lead, the back pick down, and Van Meter will get in there safely, and the ball was dropped by Moraski, the first baseman anyways. Brothers looks down at Jody Nutt, who kind of he's stepping back a little bit more than necessarily what would necessarily be usually described as a third base batter's box. Van Meter off and running. The pitch is inside, and it's a ball to Brothers in there safely just ahead of the tag is Van Meter. That play was a bang-bang, a good throw by the catcher Vaughn, and a good tag by Harris. It was a good sequence there for Fort Knox. It's just Van Meter was just a little bit too quick to get in there for the steal. Miller checks Van Meter down at second. Grayson looking for some insurance runs here in this game. Pitch outside, going down to grab it is Vaughn, and Brothers ahead in the count here, 3 balls and 1 strike. This is the opening game of the 2023 regular season. Grayson County will have 3 more games later on this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Brothers fouls that one off to the right side, as on Thursday they will travel to Caverna. On Friday they'll travel to Hopkins County Central, and then on Saturday they'll be back here at home for an afternoon clash against Madisonville. I know looking at the temperature, it's going to be a little warmer that day on Saturday. I know for the next home game, I think we're looking at about 42 for first pitch, which considering when it's 33, 34 right now, 42 sounds pretty good. Brothers, a slow grounder in the hole to the shortstop Morrison, and he bobbles, and that's going to be an infield hit. That was going to be a tough play for Morrison anyways, going to his right in the hole. It's one of those, and Derek Jeter, Barry Larkin, those plays that the shortstops make, that's why they make the big money, because Morrison, that was going to be a really tough play. And because of it, Van Meter had to stay at second base as well. So you have runners on first and second with 1 out in the inning, and it'll be Landon Shirella. Shirella in his last at-bat had a base hit up the middle to score both Van Meter and Brothers. The first pitch to him is high for ball 1. Shirella last season only had 8 RBIs on the team. He's already getting closer to that mark here with 2 early ones in this first game of the season. Inside for ball 2. But the Cougars really last season, the offense was a big question at times. As it went stagnant or it was really good. As they had a couple of games where they lost despite scoring over 11 runs, including one game where they scored 17 runs. Off and running, fly ball, deep left center field. It is going to be caught at the track by Hernandez, the left fielder. And Van Meter had to scurry back to second base as it was a little hit and run. Shirella put a charge into that one, but that'll be the second out of the inning. So Hernandez, that one almost went over his head at the last second, and he did a good job keeping his balance. That'll be Eli Watson now, the cleanup hitter. Watson 0 for 2 here in this game. Grounded out to short and struck out. Sebastian Miller, the pitcher for Fort Knox, trying to work himself out of the jam. Checking the runner, Van Meter. It's a hit and run, and it's fouled off. No, it's actually pop fly right in the infield. The pitcher, Miller, will make the catch, and that is the inning. The wind kind of saved that one, and we're through 4 full. Grayson leads Fort Knox 5-1. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. Gage Napier in for the 5th inning of work, and the first pitch going to Matthew Vernon is a swing and a miss for the freshman Gage Napier, who's thrown the ball really, really well here today. This next pitch will be his 69th of the game, and it is low for ball 1. And Napier has thrown 68% of his pitches for a strike. The 1-1. Fly ball left field. Butler has it read as he curls over towards the foul line to make the catch. And that will be the first out of the inning here. And the lineup will flip back over to the top of the order for Isaiah Morrison, who is 0 for 2 in the game. Reached on an error and a foul tip out. Napier delivers the pitch. And it's just low for ball number 1. Wind has started to pick up outside, as well as that flag over top of the scoreboard at Donley Field is really starting to whip. That one's fouled off behind the plate. That'll move the count here to 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 coming from Napier. Swing and a miss. Nice pitch there from Gage Napier to go high, and the count here goes to 1 ball and 2 strike with 1 down here in this 5th inning of work. It's 5-1. Grayson County leads Fort Knox. Just extending on that one is Morrison to foul that one off. And that'll keep the count here at 1 ball and 2 strike. And we talked, we weren't really sure what the leash would be for Gage Napier. He's pitching really well. This will be pitch number 75. You know, how long does Jody Nutt go? Does he have a pitch count in his head? Or does he let him go and stretch him out and see how long he can go? Pitch is outside for ball 2. I think if I'm probably in that range, I'm sure that it might not shock me if this is his last inning of work. It's the first game of the season. You don't want to just completely run him out all the way. Just barely fouling that one off was Morrison. And the count here will go to 2 balls and 2 strikes and remain there with 1 down here in the top of the 5th. The pitch, fly ball, shallow left field. The shortstop going back, Watson to grab it and makes a nice play. That was another one that just, with how cold it is, that one just kind of died in the air, and Watson was able to grab it. And that will be the second out of the inning, and Jaden Harris, the second baseman, who struck out looking and struck out swinging in this game, will now toe in for his third at bat, trying to find his first contact against Gage Napier, and the first one is high for ball number 1. Swing and a miss. Blew that one right past Jaden Harris. Tell Napier he's pitching with a lot of confidence on the mound as well, which is an important thing. Cold strike at the knees. I think if you're Napier, you go right at Jaden Harris here. The 1-2 outside and just misses. As he tried to run that one back in, didn't get quite enough curve. As here comes the break even. Outside, and the count will go full here from Gage Napier to the pitcher, or to the second baseman, Jaden Harris. Full count. 2 down here in this inning. Swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Gage Napier. We head to the bottom of 5. It is Grayson 5, Fort Knox 1. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Grayson County leads Fort Knox 5-1. It'll be 5, 6, 7 in the order. Levi Rogers, Landon Haycraft, and Andrew Butler is remaining out there to pitch. Is Sebastian Miller for Fort Knox. Miller, 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 6 hit by pitches, though, in this game. That's been kind of the stain on the outing so far for Sebastian Miller, that for the most part has been pretty good. It's just been he's hit and a couple of errors as well. As it'll be Levi Rogers to lead off for Grayson. He's grounded out to the pitcher and grounded out to the shortstop. Here, the first pitch coming from Miller is a outside. I thought that one was maybe going to get back in and called strike. The umpire kind of went back at first like he was getting ready to make the strike call, but instead passes on it and says that it was outside for ball number 1. That pitch goes high, and Rogers ahead in the count here at 2 balls and no strikes. Grayson County looking to open up the year with a 1-0 record here against the Fort Knox Eagles before ripping into some more games coming up here later on this week. Pitch goes outside, 3 balls and no strikes. Again, they go to at Caverna on Thursday, Hopkins County Central on Friday, and then host Madisonville on Saturday. Here's a cold strike low and outside as Grayson doesn't have their first district game until after spring break. So they've got plenty of time to use these couple of weeks to really try and improve. The 3-1. Outside and working a walk is Levi Rogers. And now it'll be Landon Haycraft to hit. Haycraft has walked and been hit by a pitch in this game. Let's see what Jody Knott, as he delivers the call down to first base, and Levi Rogers, what does he draw up here? Is he going to call for a bunt? Is he going to call for Haycraft to swing away, hit and run? You're up by 4 runs. Let's see what he doesn't do. It's not a bunt, and instead it's a ground ball right back to the pitcher, Miller. He'll turn and throw it into center field. That will be runners on first and second with nobody out, as Miller did not throw it well and throws it into the outfield, and Grayson is working here in the bottom of the 5th with a 5-1 lead. Rogers advances to second, and it would have been a tough double play ball. But it'll now be Andrew Butler to hit. Butler hit by a pitch and has had that little sacrifice that again went about 6 inches. But that'd work again right here to try and put 2 runners in scoring position. Pitch low and outside. Good pick there by the catcher, Vaughn, behind the plate to make sure that one didn't get to the backstop and allow not a bunt to even be in play and allow the runners to advance 90 feet without doing anything. We have timeout called. Butler looks down at his left wrist to see what the signal was from the head coach, Jody Knott. Aggressive lead down at second for Levi Rogers. The pitch, ground ball right back up the middle. It is picked up, bobbled by the second baseman. He didn't have the ball. He thought he did, went to tag second, realized he didn't have it. And it'll be up the middle, and the bases are loaded with nobody out in the inning, and Sawyer Drake will come in. As the ball was a slow roller right back up the middle, the second baseman, Harris, looked like he thought he picked it up in his glove, went and stepped on second, and then looked down in his glove and turned back and realized the ball was rolling into second. That'll load the bases up for Drake. Drake 0 for 1. He's been hit by a pitch, and he struck out swinging. The bases are loaded. Pitch is a ball, and that one was one of those. It was dropped by the catcher Vaughn. If he catches that one cleanly, that's probably a strike. It's just one of those where the catcher's not helping out the umpire in that situation, and so helping out his pitcher. Grayson leads 5-1, looking to add to their lead here. Sawyer Drake, the junior. The pitch coming from Miller is a slow grounder. Foul. That one was a breaking ball. That was one of the slowest pitches we've seen Miller throw in this game. It fooled Sawyer Drake. One of those that if he'd have been on top of that one, Drake, size-wise, a fly ball is what you need right here just to put a run in. Drake, a slow grounder back to first. They'll come home for 1, and that'll be all that they'll get. So it goes 3-2 on the putout from Muraski to Vaughn. Rogers out at home, and the fielder's choice will be 1 down in the inning, and it'll be Hunter Felty now to hit for Grayson. Everyone else is safe on the base paths, so we can pretty much just do it over again. Haycraft stands at third, Butler at second, Drake is the runner at first. Hunter Felty 0 for 2 in the game. And there's a ball low, bobbled by the catcher Vaughn, as Felty has lined out in that weird double play to the shortstop Mortison. That again, he gets called for the double play, but Sawyer Drake was called out on the base paths for kind of being caught napping. And then also a pop out to Muraski at first. 1 down here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Grayson County leads 5-1. Pitch, cold strike on the outside corner. Felty was the starting quarterback for the Grayson County football team, looking to help out the baseball team here in this situation to add to their 5-1 lead. And it's a slow grounder to third. Rodriguez will go the short way to third, and he is out at third. as it was a bang-bang play trying to beat Andrew Butler there. Butler's called out at third, but Haycraft will score, and Grayson leads 6-1 for the second out of the inning. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's better than what happened the last time. And the fielder's choice will go 5 unassisted. Haycraft safe, Butler out at third, so you got runners on first and second now for Jaron Van Meter, who is 0 for 0. He's been hit by a pitch twice and walked once. And the first pitch to him is inside for ball number 1. Van Meter had an on-base percentage of over 500 last season. He had 18 walks last year with that .408 average. Had the 9 runs batted in and a home run. He'll take a swing at that one. Another off-speed pitch that fools the Cougars, and that'll be a swing and a miss to move the count here to 1 ball and 1 strike. Pitch low again. That bounces away. Off and running is Drake down to third. He's in there safely on the pass ball, and what a pick by Rodriguez down there at third. It was not a good throw by the catcher. Probably shouldn't have even thrown it. And that will put runners now on first and third on the pass ball. Drake gambling there. Rodriguez did a really good job at third base to make sure that ball didn't go into left field and would have allowed Drake to score. 2 balls and 1 strike. It's 2 down. 1 runner has already crossed the plate. Jaron Van Meter has a hitter's count. The junior leader of this team for Grayson. Ground ball to third. Rodriguez gets it. Foul ball, though. So went right down the line. He was coming home, too, and he would have had Sawyer Drake out by a country mile as well at home. That one helps out the Cougars as Van Meter was hugging the line on that little dribbler. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. Here in this bottom half of the 5th inning, Grayson County on top 6-1. The pitch coming from Sebastian Miller. Pitch number 86 of the game. It is inside. The runner will advance to second, Felty, and that'll make the count go full. Camden Brothers stands in the on-deck circle. An empty base stands down at first. 1 run has already crossed the plate. The pitch is lined into right center field. Base hit. That's going to score 1 run. They're going to wave around the second run. Felty, the play coming, not even going to come home. Van Meter knocks in 2. Grayson County leads 8-1 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Great bit of hitting by Jaron Van Meter. And the Cougs have blown this one open here on the first game of this 2023 season. Camden Brothers, who's 2 for 2 with 2 singles and a hit by pitch. Outside for ball 1. Backside, they'll try to back pick Van Meter. And Van Meter was able to scurry in ahead of the tag. And calling time is Miller. He wants a new baseball. Brothers looks down at Jody Nutt. Let's see if he'll try to run Jaron Van Meter. The pitch coming. Fly ball, center field. Smith has it read, and he has it for the final out of the inning. Grayson County, though, adds 3 more to their total, and we're through 5. It's Grayson 8, Fort Knox 1. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. Called strike was the first pitch there from Gage Napier here in the top half of the sixth inning. Grayson leads 8-1 against Fort Knox. Napier back out there to pitch here in the sixth inning. Joseph Smith leads off for Fort Knox. Napier fires another strike in. Gage Napier here in this first game of the season has been really good. 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. It was not earned. 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. That's getting it done. The 0-2 is fouled off down that third base line, and that one heads into what is pretty much that Fort Knox bullpen down there. I see a score coming in here from around the region. As you see in softball, Edmonson County leads Bowling Green at the end of the fourth inning, 10-0. Game's happening in Bowling Green today. Edmonson County's got a good softball team, and I think that the 12th District softball is going to be very competitive this year. Swing and a miss, down on strike. Gage Napier gets his 12th strikeout of the game. The freshman, gets the honor of starting opening day, which is a high honor no matter what level you are at baseball, and he's making the most of it. There's no question about that. That'll be Sebastian Miller to hit, and he flies one left field. Butler didn't get a great read on it at first, but is able to careen over to his right to grab it for the second out of the inning. And we were talking about whether Gage Napier would come out for this next inning. This will be pitch number 90 here with 2 outs in the sixth. If he can get out of this inning in a couple of pitches, will they send him out there for the seventh to try and go for the complete game? You've got a commanding lead. It's first game of the season, and it's chilly. Jacob Vaughn to hit. First pitch to him is a swing and a miss. And pitch goes low to move the count here to 1-1 strike. 2 down here in the top of the sixth inning. Grayson County on top of the game, 8-1 against Fort Knox. Pitch coming outside. We'll get our first chance to see the Lady Cougar softball team as their opening day is tomorrow. They'll host Bullitt East. The Lady Chargers will have the coverage of that game. Same time, not same place. Pretty close. That's ripped right back up the middle. Slow roller, though, picked up by Watson, throwing on to first. He got him! What a play by Eli Watson to get out of the inning. What a play by the shortstop Watson as we head to the bottom of the sixth inning. Grayson County leads Fort Knox 8-1. This is Cougar Baseball on K105. Eight to 1, Grayson County leads. Bottom of the sixth inning. We have somebody from the dugout that is walking over to us, attempting to do some semblance of sign language, but it was more of just flashing numbers at us. So I have no idea what that meant. That was none other than one of the members of, I don't know what his title is down there, but Chase Blaine, who you'll hear in some color analyst duties as this season goes along. He was just flashing random hand signals at us. So I think we should have probably just stuck our heads out there and just started flashing numbers at him as well, because I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Landon Chiarella will lead off for Grayson. Eli Watson in the on-deck circle. Levi Rogers in the hole. Chiarella will lead off here in this inning. 1 for 3 in the game. That one, though, it's a big 2-run single that really got the offense rolling for Grayson after it really in the first couple of innings. It was just, fielder's choice scoring runs and so on. That was really the big hit. And Jaron Van Meter has also had a big hit in this game. But it makes sense on who's standing in the on-deck circle. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment because I've talked about it once. I'll talk about it 1,000 times, probably even just this season. As the pitch coming here from Sebastian Miller to Landon Chiarella is fouled off. As it's the bottom of the 6th inning, Grayson County on top 8-1 against the Fort Knox Eagles. Cougars try to open up the year 1-0 for really getting that season rolling with 3 straight games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Pitch low for ball 1. Cougars then next week, a week from today, will have their first region game of the year as they'll host Hancock County. Pitch fouled off. I'll make the count here to 1-2. Hancock County always has a really strong team, and that'll be a good early test for Grayson to kind of see where you're at. And then the next day you got McLean County, Davis County as well in that week. So you got 3 region games next week for Grayson. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks to see the Cougars take on Owensboro. 1-2 coming to Chiarella. And stepping out, we'll do it one more time. This Grayson County team's going to get some opportunities to see how far they are, and to see where they're at. Ooh, there's a cold strike on the outside corner to Chiarella. That's one that I don't think that he necessarily agreed with too much, but like I'm sure he was taught, he just ran right back into the dugout instead of even saying anything because, and like I say that at anything, it doesn't matter what sport, saying anything, it's not like the an umpire, a referee, in any sport's going to be like, you know what, you're right, I messed that up, let's do it over again. And it just doesn't happen. They made the call. Sometimes, was that one missed? Maybe. But I think really our home plate umpire, he's called a good game. I have not. That's been the first one that I've thought, well, maybe not. And you know what? It's cold, and there have been, as that pitch is high, there have been 95 plus 93, almost 200 pitches thrown in this game, and one of them, I thought, well, it's pretty good if you ask me. And it's a cold strike on the inside corner. And I think the best part about him tonight, and it's the thing I ask for out of umpires of any range, is be consistent. The pitch inside, and Watson dives out of the way of that one. That's one that if it wasn't 32 degrees, Eli Watson might have worn that one, but I think he decided, he made a judgment decision and a self-decision there that he wasn't about to wear that one. And he'll work a walk now, and it'll be Levi Rogers now to hit for Grayson County. Rogers 0 for 2. He's walked in his last at-bat, and then 2 groundouts. Watson stands down at first. Swing and a miss. Next pitch for Miller will be pitch number 100 in this game. It's been interesting that both these coaches have let both pitchers go above 90 pitches. It's cold. It's the first game of the season. And it's a question of, how long do you go? Pitch high. I'll move the count here to 1-1. Miller, for his 100 pitches in the game, 53% for a strike. Gage Napier, 67% for a strike. Napier, I think, has done a great job throwing strikes in this game. That one's fouled off behind the plate. We'll go 1-2 here at the bottom of the 6th inning. Grayson County leads Fort Knox 8-1. The 1-2. Fouled off again. That one's behind the plate, and that one's getting a little too close to where I parked my car. So I think I'm a little bit further down, but it's kind of one of those that we can't see the parking lot from our vantage point here, but it makes you cringe just a little bit. And luckily I didn't hear there's a pickoff attempt. I know that growing up we'd always go to the minor league baseball games. At the time it was the Florence Freedom. Now they're the Florence Yalls up in northern Kentucky, and they had the saying on foul balls, if it would land out in the parking lot, they would have here comes the 1-2. Fouled off again. That one also headed towards the parking lot. They would have a sound effect of breaking glass. And there was a glass company, Jack's, I remember, that would sponsor it. So you'd hear like, and then, and it was always, if it breaks or cracks, call Jack's. And you know what? It works. It's just, you think about it, and it's been one that has stuck with me, because now every time I see a ball heading into the parking lot, I immediately think of that. Here comes the 1-2 to Rogers. Called strike 3. He knew that one too. That was one of those that he knew as soon as he looked at it. And I'll be Landon Haycraft to hit for Grayson here with 2 down in this bottom of the 6th inning. Haycraft has walked, been hit by a pitch, and reached on an error. Runner Watson stands at first base. Little breaking ball in there for a strike. Backside pick not there for Watson. And it's probably one of those that, head coach Joe Hammond is probably going to say next time, don't even throw that down. Because you throwing down to the first baseman, especially throwing from your knee, it's not going to work well. Like, you have a chance of throwing that one into right field or something. That's ripped in the hole into left field for a base hit for Landon Haycraft. It splits the shortstop and the third baseman. It's then bobbled by the left fielder Hernandez, and that's going to give each runner an extra base, and you have 2 runners in scoring position with 2 down here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The error advances the runners one more base. And it'll be Andrew Butler that'll now get his turn to swing. He's 1 for 1 with a sacrifice, a hit by a pitch, and an infield single. And we have a timeout called. I think we're having a courtesy runner. I think whoever the courtesy runner is maybe was maybe in the bullpen warming up, or maybe he was in the clubhouse trying to stay a little warm. And I don't know that I'd necessarily blame him. It's probably a little chilly in that dugout. I don't know that they have a heater or anything. There's probably a lot of hot air coming down from there, but that's probably not gonna keep them cold, not gonna keep them warm. Butler just gets enough to foul that one off. Especially from some of the managers down there, there's a lot of hot air coming from them. They know who they are. The 0-1 coming. Runners on second and third. Grayson leads 8-1. I mean, Andrew Butler gets a hold of one here. It could be a walk-off dinger. And instead, he's going to wear one in his back. That works as well. That'll load the bases for Sawyer Drake. Drake has been hit by a pitch, struck out swinging, and reached on a fielder's choice. Now, the thing with Sawyer Drake is he's big, he's strong. If he gets in contact with one, he could put one out. Now, maybe not when it's 32 degrees and windy, but you never know. And I'm not sure if we're going to have a pitching change or what. That's 108 pitches from Sebastian Miller. Joe Hammond walking out to talk this over and see if he's going to keep Miller into the game or if he's going to make a pitching change. You can tell Miller is trying to plead his case to remain into this game. Still talking it over. Maybe they just all wanted to stay warm, too. They're all kind of lumped in there in a little circle. Maybe start to build a fire on the mound or something. They're going to break this up, and Miller's going to remain in the game as the pitcher. Miller, 5 2/3 of an inning, 6 hits, 8 runs, only 3 of them earned, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, 7 hit by pitches in this game. Sawyer Drake has a chance to end this game right here. As Butler is the quote-unquote winning rung as far as mercy rule. Called strike on the outside corner. As it's kind of one of those walk-off with an asterisk by it, because it technically is a walk-off, but it's maybe not quite as sweet as one that wins the game by 1 run or 2 runs or something. But I think, honestly, if you're Grayson County, all that matters is the big old W. There's no balls and 2 strikes. 110 pitches from Sebastian Miller. The pitch. Swing and a miss by Drake. He's down on strikes. We're through 6 full. It is Grayson County 8, Fort Knox 1. It's Cougar Baseball on K105. Grayson County leads 8-1. We head to the top of the 7th inning. A new pitcher into the game for the Cougars, Levi Rogers, and his first pitch is inside for ball 1. Rogers, last season pitching for Grayson, had 12 games, 1 start, 0-2 record with a 7.64 ERA. That does close the book on Gage Napier. Second pitch is outside for ball number 2. Napier, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, no earned, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. That's a pretty good day at the office, if you ask me. And that pitch just misses, and Rogers is falling behind Joshua Hernandez 3-0. Hernandez has struck out looking and popped out to the second baseman. Pitch, swing, and a miss. Hernandez was swinging at the 3-0. The 3-1. Fouled off over top of the Cougar baseball dugout, and that goes, we were talking about the parking lot of the fans. That one goes into the parking lot of the players, and I'm not sure who would be, confident enough to park their car that close. And that one's just fouled off, and we'll do this one more time. But that one, and the worst part about that one is that one was a screamer. That one would have done some damage if that one would have smacked into your window or something. At least most of the ones that come into the fan parking lot, it'd be more of your pop flies. The 3-2 from Rogers is low, and a leadoff walk to Joshua Hernandez. James Moraski comes in to hit. He struck out twice in this game. Sure, he's very happy that Gage Napier's not out there anymore because Napier sent him down on 6 total pitches. Pitch goes high for ball number 1. And there's going to be a timeout. Buddy Hobby's going to walk his way out there to talk with Levi Rogers, and Landon Haycraft is going to go out and join him as well. And this is clearly one of these discussions that's just a, hey, deep breath, we're good. It's no big deal. Let's just, you're fine kind of thing. You know, it's there's still a lot of baseball left to play. And also probably another thing he's saying is, you got a 7-run lead. You're fine. Just throw the ball over the plate. You've got 7 runs to work with. It doesn't matter if this game ends up 8-7. All that matters is they don't have 8 or more at the end of this inning. Aggressive lead for Hernandez down at first. Moraski, the pitcher. Nice little breaking ball in there for a called strike. That was a good pitch by Rogers. That's the best pitch he's thrown. Starting to hear some cheering coming from the dugouts. He tried to go back to that breaking ball. That one didn't quite get enough break on it. Went high for ball number 2. The 2-1 coming is called strike. As I wasn't sure if it was going to be a strike or if it was a little too high. The umpire said that one's going to be a strike, and that's something you can see in this 7th inning with it being a 7-run lead. At least if I was the umpire, pitch comes low and inside for ball number 3. I'm sure he's probably thinking, let's open that strike zone just a little bit more. I'm cold. I get paid by the game too, not the hour. So he's probably wanting to open up that strike zone a little bit more. Here comes the 3-2. It's high, and that's back-to-back walks here to lead the 7th inning against the 6 and 7 hole hitters, and it'll be Javier Rodriguez, who has walked and struck out swinging. There's a called strike. Good pitch there from Levi Rogers. You can tell that this is going to be Levi Rogers' inning. Cougars are not going to want to have to go back to the bullpen, especially when they have games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Pitch goes high. That breaking ball is it's getting too high at the peak, and it's just not breaking too much into the zone. There from Rogers. Here comes the 1-1. Swing and a miss. He fooled Rodriguez there, and he's got him now 1-2. You got a pitch to work with, but I think if you're Rogers after walking 2 straight, you just got to go right at him. Make your pitch. The 1-2 with nobody out, 8-1. Cougs lead outside for ball number 2. Ball kind of scurries away from Haycraft. He's able to go and grab it. Rogers looks in for the sign. The pitch. Called strike 3 at the knees. First out of the inning there from Levi Rogers. And the lineup now heads towards Matthew Vernon, the DH. He's flown out to left and struck out in his 2 at-bats. He's 0 for 2. The lefty going up against the pitcher Rogers. Called strike on the outside corner. Good movement there on the fastball from Rogers. You can start to see some of the confidence has built back up. The 0-1. Inside, it hits him. You can maybe put that one on me there. It's right when I said the confidence start to build up. That one hit Vernon in the ribs, and it doesn't feel good to get hit in the ribs when it's 85. It sure doesn't feel good to get hit in the ribs, I'm sure, when it's 35. And the bases are now loaded with 1 down in the top of the 7th inning, and the lineup goes back over towards Isaiah Morrison, who was one of their best bats last year for Fort Knox. He's 0 for 3 in this game, and there's a called strike on the inside corner. Morrison struck out, reached on an error, and popped out to the shortstop. The 0-1. Called strike 2. Morrison last season hit .393 with 8 runs batted in and 3 doubles. The 0-2. High. One of the things that I like that Rogers is doing now, too, is he's pitching with a little bit more speed as well. And sometimes just getting into that routine can really help in a young pitcher. The 1-2 coming from Rogers is a slow ground ball to first. Drake will tap first and smartly just holds it and doesn't go anywhere else. That will score a run and make it 8-2, but that makes it, more importantly, the second out of the inning. Lineup goes towards Jaden Harris. He's 0 for 3 in the game. Struck out all 3 at-bats, trying to avoid the golden sombrero. Pitch is outside for ball number 1 there from Levi Rogers. Rogers trying to close this game out. As Grayson leads 8-2, Cougs looking to open up the year 1-0. Pitch high, goes to the backstop, and some stuttering out there on the base paths. They're going to let that one go. The 2-0 is, it hits him. He turned into that one, and that hit him on the left arm, and now it is going to be Joseph Smith that will hit. The bases are loaded with 2 outs. He turned into that one. There'll be 2 down here in the inning, and the bases loaded for Joseph Smith, who last season hit .478 for the Eagles. High for ball number 1. Smith 0 for 2 today. He struck out twice and walked. Levi Rogers trying to close this one out. Pitch inside, hits him. And that'll make it 8-3 here in this game. And now you look over into the dugout, and there's a little movement going on in the Grayson County bullpen. That is the 10th player that has been hit in this game between the 2 teams. Sebastian Miller, the pitcher. And that pitch is high for ball number 1 from Levi Rogers. It's 30 pitches that Rogers has thrown. Only 12 of them have gone for a strike here in this inning. And that pitch misses as well. 2 balls and no strikes. The 2-0 is a slow grounder to the second baseman, Felty. He bobbles it, tries to recover, not in time. 1 run will cross the plate. The bases remain loaded, and the tying run is coming to the plate with 2 outs. Things are starting to come unraveled here for the Cougars in this final inning. Vernon scores, and it'll now be Jacob Vaughn, the 5-hole hitter. He's 1 for 3 in this game. He's the 9th person to bat in this inning for Fort Knox. First pitch is a ball to Vaughn. You can tell Jody Nutt is probably starting to pace a little bit more into that dugout in deciding what he wants to do. And that's high for ball number 2. Bases are loaded here in this game. Grayson County still leads 8-4 against Fort Knox. They led 8-1 at the top of this inning. They've led the entire way. Pitch high and 3 balls and no strikes from Levi Rogers to Jacob Vaughn. Vaughn 1 for 3. The 3-0, cold strike at the knees there from Rogers. He gets that 3-0 Leo. The 3-1. Cold strike at the knees. 1 strike away is Levi Rogers from getting out of the jam. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down here in the bottom of the the top of the 7th inning. The pitch, swing and a miss. Rogers gets out of it. Cougs win the game by a final score of 8-4. Grayson County opens up the year with a 1-0 record behind Gage Napier's gem in this game. Your final score: Grayson County 8, Fort Knox 4. We'll come back and wrap it up after this, as this is Cougar Baseball on K105. Grayson County opens up the year with a 1-0 record by a final score of 8-4 in this game. Your final stats: the winning pitcher, Gage Napier. He goes 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 12 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Sebastian Miller for Fort Knox gets the loss. 6 innings, 6 hits, 8 runs, 3 earned, 5 strikeouts, 4 walks. Miller did hit 7 batters. The RBI count for Grayson County: Jaron Van Meter had 2 of them. Lane Chirella had 2 of them. Levi Rogers, Hunter Felty, and Eli Watson wrapped it up, each having 1. For Fort Knox, it was Isaiah Morrison and Joseph Smith that each had 1 rebound in the game. Grayson opens up the year with a 1-0 record. Your final line score for Fort Knox: 4 runs on 1 hit and 3 errors. For Grayson County, 8 runs on 6 hits and 4 errors. We'll be back tomorrow as the Lady Cougars will open up the year against Bullitt East. We'll have the coverage of that game beginning at about 4:50 down from the Grayson County Softball Complex. We'll have all of the action from that one here on K105 Digital Productions. That'll wrap up our coverage here tonight as Grayson County opens up the year with an 8-4 record. I want to thank the K105 Digital Productions crew for their hard work. Your camera operator was Alex Cook and your director was Jaden Kinney. So tonight, where Grayson County picks up the 8-4 victory against Fort Knox, this is Sam Gormley saying so long, everyone.